At Wade Ford, discover great prices, flexible finance options, and top trade-in values. For a limited time, get $50 off service. Plus, with our mobile service, an expert technician will come to you. Visit Wade Ford today or online at wadeford.com. Wade Ford, Atlanta's Ford dealer, where your satisfaction drives everything we do.
Receive $50 off your total parts and service bill of $250 or more. Not valid on previous service purchases. Must mention offer at time of service purchase. All financing on approved credit expires 9/30/24.
This is an Extra 106.3 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 106.3 FM or download the Extra 106.3 app. Extra 106.3 and a Second Chance Bail Bonds are here to back your blue. Back Your Blue highlights special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Join a Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Matalon and host Tug Coward to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. Now it's time to back your blue on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra 106.3 app.
This is Back Your Blue on Extra 106.3. My name is Tug Coward, along with Daniel Matalon. He is the CEO of a Second Chance Bail Bonds and a Second Chance Monitoring. What's been going on, man? What you up to?
Just busy running around,
buddy. I don't know how you keep up with all that horse riding y'all doing.
No, it's Kentucky last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
10 days in Lexington.
Yeah. Which is a beautiful country, and I know Melinda from the marketing group is going up to see UGA at Kentucky, which, I mean, that's a trip right there. I would love to. I'm very envious as she sits over here looking down my nose because I'm so envious that I don't get to go along with I've never seen, I take that back, aside from at Georgia Tech, I've never seen Georgia play on the road, which I would like to do one day, maybe one day. And I was stationed in Jacksonville and never got to. I was out to sea when Georgia played Florida down there. How about them dogs?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Today, our special guest is Sergeant Jeremy Blake. He is the Public Information Officer and Drone Program Coordinator for the Cobb Sheriff's Office. Man, 14-year veteran of Cobb County Sheriff's Office and the PIO, as I mentioned, co-founded the agency's drone program and holds an FAA Part 107 license. That sounds serious. Can you fly a plane, too?
No, I can't fly that, but hey, maybe one day if the sheriff wants one of them, I'll try.
Absolutely right. Goodness gracious. I barely have a driver's license, Dana. This dude's got an FAA license.
Yeah, I don't have one of those.
No, I don't either. It sounds fancy. Serves as a member of the SWAT team with a focus on robotics applications and deployment during tactical solutions. Does that mean, is that like, because I saw a video the other day on social media that scared me to death. I thought we were living in Terminator for a minute. You know how, the Terminator movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'll be back and all that. This one happened to be a dog. It was a robot dog, and it had a Gatling gun on its back. I could not believe it. I was like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, y'all don't deploy anything like that, do you?
No, absolutely. We do not have anything that has what you would call lethal capabilities.
Got it.
So our robots are going to be a little more friendly, if you will. So
like the Chick-fil-A robot.
Yeah. I mean, now they can't drive down the street by themselves, but hey,
look, you get with Chick-fil-A, we can figure it out,
right?
If they can deliver a sandwich, surely they can go get a hostage,
right? That's possible.
I mean, I'm just saying, that'd be a friendly thing to do, and maybe bring some waffle fries.
Hey, you never know. We might be able to defuse a hostage situation with a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Dude, I'm telling you, we just keep coming up with ideas. One day it's going to break through, and they're going to credit us, and we're going to be millionaires because of it.
Yeah.
I kid somewhat, but you are a Georgia Post certified instructor, and routinely teaches at the Post Regional Academy in Cobb County. What are you teaching folks?
Well, so we have there's two big classes. So there's two certifications you got to have in law enforcement. One, anybody who works in a jail has to have a jailer certification by the state. And then secondly, to be a peace officer, you have to actually pass the peace officers training course that's also mandated by the state. In those, you can imagine there are tons of classes. It's everything from, first aid to knowing criminal procedures to knowing defensive tactics. If it's, the mandate for law enforcement, you got to drive, you got to shoot. There's so many classes to teach. So I normally look at the schedule, find something I'm passionate about, and I go teach it. A lot of times it's usually classes on doing ethical things. I like that. I used I used to be in internal affairs.
Sure.
So unfortunately, I got to see the unethical side of law enforcement. So I can go in there and teach these new recruits and say, hey, don't do this. And when they laugh, like it's like, we would never do that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
hold on, let me tell you a story without the names,
That's right.
just so you know I'm speaking from a place of experience.
Tell you a story about a man named Jed.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But
so
really, it's just filling the holes, So we run the regional academy for the Georgia Post, which is who governs all of our law enforcement certifications. Sheriff's office runs it. So a lot of times they routinely call on us who are instructors, and we go out there and teach whatever they need taught.
There you go. Ethics is good. It's good to have ethics for sure. What's the coolest class, though? I mean, what are some of the classes that y'all teach up there that are just awesome?
I don't teach it because I'm not.
I'm just saying that are there. I'm just saying that they're there.
Probably the best one is the emergency vehicle operations course.
That's the one I want to take.
You're running lights and sirens.
Yes.
When you go, I mean, there's a skid pad where it's slick concrete. They douse it with water, and then you're driving on it, and they have a special car with a brake that the instructor has.
Oh.
So you're driving at the last second, they tell you, all right, take a left, take a right, doesn't matter. And then at any moment, they're hitting this button and it locks the brakes up, and now you're sliding.
Oh, my
goodness. And it's
goodness.
up to you to correct that slide, come out of the slide.
You got to figure out how to do it. Do you turn against it? Is that what you have to do?
You're supposed to turn into it.
Turn into it. That's see, I'd have been dead. They'd have been fishing me out of a lake somewhere.
But that one is wild, and I haven't tried to be an instructor, because to be an instructor, you have to go to an instructor's course. And from what I understand, day one of that, they say if you don't come to grips with the fact that you will most likely flip a car, you'll never make it. You'll never be able to pass just the test to get into the school. So those who are your emergency vehicle instructors, they have shown their ability to drive.
I'd sure like to try it one time.
Yeah, one time would be good.
Yeah, because look, I might not survive past the one time. There's another opportunity to to do it again. But yeah, just courses like that is so stinking cool. Is there a civilian component?
I know we are doing a Citizens Academy now.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if y'all want to reach out to Sheriff Owens and say, hey, can you put us in a car and some cones?
Well, this guy right here.
Now, I've done a couple Citizens Academies, not Cobb counties, but I've done Fulton counties, and they are definitely not letting you get in a car and drift.
Well, look, I ain't going then. I can't. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. No, Citizens Academies are cool too, though. Can you talk about that? Because I think, a lot of people should be interested in Citizens Academy. Like I'm up here being the jokester, but I do believe that Citizens Academies are really beneficial to figure out what is happening at the police department and the sheriff's department.
And I think that's the thing. If you want to know in depth what is happening, yes, I post on social media every day about our agency. I do interviews every day. That's just a glimpse. That's just a few seconds of our day. That's that one event. But when you start going to those Citizens Academy and you hear from supervisors and colonels and you get to see all of our stuff, all the toys, all the drones and the trucks and everything else, and we bring them out, now you actually understand what service is being provided to you.
And the financial piece, too. They even bring in, they tie in the budgets and explain. I mean, it gives you, it's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, and it really gives you insight to the government and how it works and kind of what all they have to deal with, and it gives you the full picture versus just what you may think or what someone may tell you.
How can folks find out about it, Sergeant Blake? Like if you're listening right now and want to go to Cobb County Sheriff's and do the Citizens Academy.
So we have one that is currently in session, so you can't sign up for it currently.
Right.
But all you got to do is watch our social media, and we advertise when we have the next one. We'll advertise for sign-ups, and that's it. You just sign up.
What is the best thing that's happened during a ride-along, like a Citizens Academy ride-along? Is somebody been in there and then there's a high-speed chase that happens, or a bank robbery, or is it something like that, a Die Hard?
No, I don't think we've had anything super exciting like that happen so far.
Well, that's probably best for the people that are riding along.
I mean, but hey, it's only the second one.
That's exactly right.
So we're still new.
We have time.
Yeah,
we have time.
We're in our infancy.
Dude, I love it. That's great. Sergeant Blake has previously served in these positions: Sergeant of the Detention Center, Internal Affairs Investigator, as he mentioned earlier, going to teach some of those classes, Criminal Investigation Division, CID, as a Fugitive Investigator, Field Operations as a Warrant and Civil Deputy, and a Deputy Sheriff at the Adult Detention Center. You've handled canines in relations to tracking of persons and article detection utilizing bloodhounds. We don't deserve dogs. I've said that, and let me tell you, my dog is dumber than a bag of hammers. but I love him. You know what I mean? And we don't deserve dogs. The fact that y'all have those German Shepherds is that what it is? German Shepherds y'all have?
I think the Bellin Malinois.
That's what I meant to say the whole time.
Right.
That's what I meant to say. I have mixed it up with German Shepherd. You see how they get easily mixed up. But those dogs are unbelievable. The ability, the intelligence that they have. And how is it working with them?
It is, especially when you're not the handler. Like I worked with bloodhounds for a couple years, and that's where that little sentence in my bio comes from.
I like it.
But now we have so many more dogs, and now they're assigned to the handlers. Your more traditional thing where you see the dog go home every day with the handler.
Okay.
And those dogs are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about it, I mean, these dogs, they're amazing. Not only can they execute the job they're supposed to do better than anything we could ever do as humans, they also listen. They mind. I mean,
unlike most humans,
right? But I've watched them. I've watched our guys be in training, and have we have a couple patrol dogs, and one of the functions of a patrol dog is it has the ability to bite somebody to help with the apprehension. And I've watched these dogs that they'll be playing with the tennis ball, and then the moment they walk in with the training sleeve, it's like if you can imagine the dog's holding his tennis ball, and the training sleeve walks in that he gets to bite. And he just gazes, and his mouth opens, and the ball just rolls out of it.
Right.
And he just watches us. I mean, he's ready to go. But the moment he bites it, and the handler feels like, hey, he has done his job long enough where we would have the guy in handcuffs. When they give that command to, I guess it's let go. It's in another language, so you don't know what it is.
I know with German Shepherds it would be in German.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'll give that command, and that's it. The dog's done.
I know. I love it, man. Dogs are so amazing. They're unbelievable. Anytime I could see, that's another thing, because I know you're not supposed to pet the police dogs. They're in a official capacity or whatever. Are there ever days like when y'all do citizens academies, or you have school children that come through? I'm sure y'all do field trips where you show command center or whatever.
Right.
Are the dogs ever there? Or do they ever have the ability to just get a pat on the head from the kids? People?
So we're selective in who we use. So the bloodhounds, again, we have two bloodhounds, and then we have
they have the coolest bark ever.
Yes. Now, as long as the kids are okay getting slobbery, because these dogs are gonna you're gonna get some slobber.
Yeah, sure.
But we have two bloodhounds. We have two dogs who all they do is detect explosives.
Okay.
That's their job. And then two more that only detect narcotics. We're not worried about any of those biting because that's not part of their function.
Deal. Yeah.
So those are the ones that hey,
a little pat on the head.
Especially the bloodhounds. Those are the ones that most likely, if we're going to a school to show kids, we're bringing a bloodhound.
Yeah, he's going to roll over and let him scratch his belly.
That's it. They're going to flop around. The ears are going to flop around and everything else and just have fun.
When we come back on Extra 106.3 and Back Your Blue with Sergeant Blake, the public information officer and the drone program coordinator at the Cobb Sheriff's Office, I want to talk to you about becoming the drone program coordinator, because drones are so stinking cool as well. People are flying, commercial drones, whatever. Kids get them for Christmas or birthdays or whatever. And I know, obviously, this is very, very different. But I think the interest level in drones is through the roof. We want to talk about that next on Back Your Blue on Extra 106.3.
This is Back Your Blue, presented by A Second Chance Bail Bonds, live on Extra 106.3 FM and streaming for free anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Welcome back to Back Your Blue with Daniel Madelon. He's the CEO of A Second Chance Bail Bonds and A Second Chance Monitoring. My name is Tug Cowart, and we have Sergeant Jeremy Blake, Public Information Officer and Drone Program Coordinator, Cobb Sheriff's Office. You came in before, and we've talked about so many of the things that you're involved in and that were going on at the Cobb Sheriff's Office. But since then, you've become the Drone Program Coordinator. Tell us all about that, man. Drone Public Coordinator, or Drone Program Coordinator, rather. What does that entail? What's that encompass?
So it's the job is I basically run the drone unit. There's 8 pilots who are all FAA licensed, just like I am.
The 107, I believe.
Yes, the Part 107. There you go. And we have a multitude of drones that do different functions. And it's my job to make sure everybody stays up to date on training, host monthly training, make sure all the equipment's taken care of, the pilots are confident in what they're doing, and researching new stuff, because we want to make sure we're on the cutting edge all the time, that just having it's not enough. Every day there's some new way of using a drone or a new drone that's coming out.
AI, I would imagine, is a new wrinkle or layer to not only training but the technology itself.
Right. In fact, one of the drones, it was a recent software update. When I click a button and I'm flying above the ground, it'll start telling me, okay, there's 4 cars in this photo, there's 3 human beings.
Wow.
And for whatever reason, I don't know why they picked it, but the third thing it'll tell me is if there's any boats.
Okay, well, look, in case,
so-
in case somebody's going to speed away, like
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Miami Vice or something.
So I guess if we're ever around Lake Allatoona, that'll
that'd be
help
helpful.
us.
Absolutely.
Right.
No, but that's so fascinating. How many different types of drones do y'all have and deploy?
So we have 4 different types, and they range from a big drone that'll carry spotlight, speaker. It has night vision and thermal and all kinds of things like that, all the way down to this little drone that I put on a pair of goggles and I fly it inside a house just to see if maybe there's a barricaded subject. Maybe SWAT's out and they think there's somebody barricaded inside. Instead of just sending a SWAT guy in there, we send a drone in there first.
Oh, so smart. I
Yes.
mean, goodness gracious. No loss of human life, no injury, no shots. I mean, drones replaceable. It stinks, You don't want to lose that technology or that ability, especially in that moment, but the better than someone being shot or some injury, catastrophic even. You say you take the small ones in there. When you say small ones, because I want to get like the range, like what does that look like, a small one versus a big one as far as a drone? Because I see the one that my nephew got for Christmas last year, and it's like the size of my iPhone.
I would say, I'd say it probably could. The drone we fly inside the house, it could probably sit on the screen of your Apple laptop right there.
Wow.
And probably not take up the whole entire screen.
How about that? And what is it loaded down with? Cameras mainly?
So it just has the one camera on the front. It's called a FPV drone, a first-person visual drone. It's got a camera on the front, and then the vendor we get it from, he custom prints 3D light brackets. So we have LED lights that are on the bottom and on the front. So it doesn't matter if it's dark. One time I flew it in the attic on a SWAT mission. We needed to clear an attic. And instead of sending a SWAT operator having to poke his head up in the attic, I just flew the drone straight up through the little access point of the attic, and with all the LED lights, it was like it was daytime, and I flew around the attic.
Holy cow.
And then came right back down the hole, and we were good.
What did you find up there?
Nothing.
Nothing. Well, that's
Nothing, but hey, you got to be thorough.
No, absolutely. No, this is the last thing, Daniel. You want to be is get up there and be like, hey, we swept it, everything's good. Then you send somebody up there and it ain't good.
Yeah.
That's bad news there. Tell me about the bigger drones.
So our biggest drones,
Biggest. Here we go.
they're big. Okay, so they're ones that even at my size, I don't even like to carry them with one hand. Like they're heavy. They're big drones. They fly for about 35, 40 minutes.
Like size this table?
Not quite.
Okay.
Unfolded.
No, but they're big. I've seen
probably I don't know, 3.5 feet wide, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, it's pretty big. It has its own landing gear, 2 legs that you have to literally put on it to come off of it, because it has to have that space to land with the propellers, and it takes 3 big old waterproof cases to transport it anywhere you want to go. But this thing, it has a drop hook, so if we need to drop supplies, say somebody was, we're on a search and rescue type thing, we could have a water bottle, cell phone, first aid kit, we could drop that. Speakers, if, say, we were down here at the Battery, we had an event, and we wanted to preload some messages in case there was an emergency telling you where to exit. It's got a loudspeaker that you can play, and you can hear it. At 200 feet, I can play a song, and you think it's right beside you.
Shoot, yeah. I'd be out there playing Enter Sandman by Metallica. Everybody would be rocking and rolling, man. I'm telling you, that's better than any message that I think I can hear.
Right? A little pre-Braves game hype,
That's
I see.
exactly right. Get Tomahawk Chop going. It'd be great. No, but that's funny because this is just me, and I know Sergeant Blake or anybody, the Cobb County Sheriff's Office, Daniel would not do this. But if I were in charge of the drone program,
different story.
I would have that little thing where you can drop things off. I would have it bringing me ice cold Coca-Colas, and cold pops. It'd just be awesome. And you can have this thing just flying around, just delivering all kinds, like all your favorite stuff, versus having to deliver, supplies that you might need in a hostage situation. It could be anything.
Right.
I would. That's why they shouldn't hire me. I would never be hired, because I could come up with all kinds of plans of ways to use these against what they should be done. So that's why don't ever hire me, and rely on Sergeant Blake, because he'll do the right thing. I will not. Daniel, where do you stand on this?
I'm probably with you on this one.
I had a feeling it might come down to that.
Yeah.
Recently presented at the Georgia Public Safety Drone Summit, hosted by drone responders. What in the world is that? Is that like Comic-Con for drones?
Not quite as big.
Okay.
Definitely not quite as big. So there's an organization, Drone Responders, and they have they're all law enforcement, first responder based. So EMS, fire, law enforcement, and it's basically a group of them, if you will. I want to say a group. A group makes it sound small. I think he said he had well over 10,000 people registered on this website.
Wow.
Where you're sharing information, you're receiving training information. They have conferences where they're bringing together people that they consider experts in the field. They're bringing together vendors, and it's just it's a collaborative thing. You're talking because honestly, you don't know what you don't know. And when you get in there and you start listening to what an agency's doing in Colorado or somebody in New York or something like that, you start picking up on things that you're like, hey, I never thought about that. I mean, we're still new. We've only been doing the drone program in Cobb for maybe a little over 2 years now.
But more than any other agency, right?
Yeah, so there's several that are in their beginning stages, but we kind of jumped out ahead on it.
Yeah.
But even still, we're learning stuff every day. I mean, 2 years is nothing when you think about it.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, give me an example of something that you might learn that you had no idea about, or maybe you've learned at this at the Georgia Public Safety Drone Summit.
So they were talking. There was one agency. I want to say they were maybe in New Jersey, but don't quote me on it. But they were using their drones. Like we were talking about how our drone has the ability to drop things, to drop medical supplies.
I want to borrow one for a tailgate. Yes, I recall.
They're running a whole drone program that is doing nothing but responding to medical calls, and they're responding with AEDs, with tourniquets, stuff like that. And I mean, we talk about having a drop hook, and I thought, well, hey, maybe we can work with Cobb Fire, and during a swiftwater rescue, we could like drop the rope, the lead rope, and that's where I'm thinking. And here, this agency is, you have a medical incident at your house, they're dropping an AED in your driveway.
Holy smokes!
I mean, think about a drone can get there way before an ambulance can, because the ambulance, even with lights and sirens, still has to deal with traffic and getting through it, and you know what I mean. But a drone,
of course,
fly right
over it,
and they're dropping an AED in your driveway.
So, but like, because you said a tourniquet, like, give me an example of how does the tourniquet get tied? Can the drone do that? Somebody on the ground that's already there.
Right.
Here's just the equipment you need to get the job done.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
But still, it's giving you that chance to do it.
Absolutely.
Minutes, and sometimes minutes is the difference.
But do you see that later developing into something that a drone could, or some sort of technology could do that eventually?
I'm not sure.
We're probably a ways off. I'm sure that's super futuristic.
It's tough to say because technology moves so fast.
So fast. Sergeant Blake, holy cow.
Yes.
The fact that you can ask Grok or OpenAI or whomever, the AI, you can ask for a picture of Sergeant Blake, in action, in pursuit, and you can have it in 20 seconds.
Right.
And it would take an artist rendition. It would take them hours and hours and hours to do that. You get it in 10 seconds. So these days, technology is happening so incredibly fast. How's technology changing what you do over to Second Chance, Daniel?
We, it started with us going paperless, and then it's evolved, obviously, just with all the different, the different things, and you want to stay ahead on the cutting edge. But yeah, it's definitely. The bonding process has completely changed from what it used to be.
That and with like you have to give me the proper terminology, but like, just doing breath tests to crank your car. That's a technology. It's probably a little older, but that was a step in the direction of probably where you're headed now.
Right, yeah. There's a lot of remote breath devices that we use and stuff now, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And then with monitoring, too, I can only imagine that the technology level there is through the roof as well.
Facial recognition, app-based technology, we're using all that stuff,
Jeez.
With defendants and, with the judges and depending on what they need. But yeah, a lot of that facial recognition stuff, and then live GPS tracking where you're not even having to use the ankle bracelet anymore, and it's all app-based stuff. So yeah, there's that's every day, right? That's changing every day.
How are y'all seeing technology change at the Cobb Sheriff's Office? Not just with drones. Facial recognition sounds like something you would use if there was a manhunt.
I could see where we could use it. I don't think we are using it yet, but we use, and I know you've probably heard of it before, like flock camera system. That's always been a thing, the flock cameras that look at car tags and such. And those things are really growing. It used to be there were only a couple of cameras around, and I think we invested, I want to say I heard a number in the 50s of getting flock cameras, and now, people are being caught that previously we never had a chance at catching because they were always on the move, and now they're being caught with these cameras. And even if the camera is not in that moment catching them, it's giving us a pattern of where to look, so we know where to go. And that's just a brief example.
Those, like what he's talking about, so like we've caught fugitives as well because we have access to some of this investigative software. If there's a certain vehicle that we may think, it may not be even registered to that person, but we may know the tag number on that vehicle, and then it's going to show us images of it's at this apartment, it's been at this apartment complex, it came through this intersection, so we can actually see. And we're like, we know for sure that person was actually driving that vehicle. The vehicle wasn't their vehicle, and I mean, it's led to apprehensions for us.
Holy smokes.
On multiple occasions. So I am all about what he's talking about.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
because it's great stuff.
Yeah, public safety is that's so important, and obviously that's what you based your entire career on.
But then on the flip side, another thing we're doing with technology that's new is. We used to, when we had to deal with the detainees in our jail, if they needed a form to see medical, it was the antiquated style of giving them a piece of paper. Hey, fill out this form that you have to hope you remember to give it to me, and then you have to hope I remember to give it to who, and so on. Now we have tablets. Now, they're not like your iPad where, they can get on the tablet and check out social media and download music. And, I mean, it's a very restricted tablet.
Sure.
But it gives them the ability now to electronically file these forms that they need, whether it be for medical or for court or whatever. And it's sped up the process for them, but also reduced the amount of work for our deputies because now they don't have to deal with all these forms and all this stuff is direct. So just another example.
Technology making it easy. I know there's probably ethical guidelines that, because you talked about teaching ethics and the importance of that, of how to use technology, when to deploy technology. Is that a fine line to walk, or is it become easier?
It's easier if you know it.
Okay.
But there is a fine line. Like let's just go back to drones for a second. At no point am I just going to fly a drone through a neighborhood just to see what's happening, just to check out some backyards, because that's not okay. That's not allowed.
Invasion of privacy.
We're just not over here surveillancing to surveillance.
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason why I'm at that house. Maybe it's a search warrant. Maybe there's a criminal investigation already. But it's not a hard line to know not to cross.
Yeah, it seems pretty obvious.
But it's still a line, and you got to know it's there. And I think it's important the public knows that
I think
there.
so too.
So yeah, what is it? So I did get in trouble with a drone one time.
Jeez, were you looking at people sunbathing in the backyard?
No,
what
it was with my neighbor, and I accidentally. Well, anyhow, the drone ends up landing in his yard, right?
Yeah.
Well, I go to retrieve the drone because I am not an expert at flying drones, and I don't fly them anymore because of this incident, because it's just safer that way. But it ended up in his yard, and he was pissed, and it came over his backyard, and whatever. And so, what's the deal there? Like, where's the line at? I guess because my son, he now has taken over the drone flying, and he's only 14 years old, or 13, about to be 14. What can and can't we do when it comes to the public as far as neighborhoods
drones
and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That is a fantastic question, and this is I think will forever be a problem the FAA has is explaining this, but
because I don't know.
So the airspace.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, this is a tough question. This is a tough what is federal versus what is local law enforcement. So in that scenario, your son's flying the drone that you went and bought from the store the other day, and the airspace that he's flying in is the Federal Aviation Administration's airspace. That is theirs to govern. That is theirs to police. And we, as local police, have no jurisdiction. Like today, if there's a Braves game, I can't go tell that pilot, hey, if you don't land, I'm going to arrest you because you're flying in a no-fly zone, because it's federal. But on the same hand, now if you have somebody flying over a pool in the backyard and they're hovering low and your kids are out there, and now we start getting into, is this local law enforcement? Because is this starting to fall into the world of like a peeping Tom, an invasion of privacy type
absolutely.
thing?
Right.
I said that in jest, but I know that stuff actually happens.
It does happen, and people have been arrested. So it's the gray line. But if you're just flying the drone to fly the drone, you're flying 100 feet above the ground, 200 feet. It's really,
you're not like creeping on them because because that's the thing. Like, you hear something really loud going on, and my son's like, no, we're not going to drive over there. Let's just put the drone up and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to know what's happening, and so that's why I'm like, I need to find out what is the.
I should probably figure out the law.
What is the deal, right? What is the law? Because we have several drones at our house, and like that's a just easy way to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a height limit? Because I would think if you're at 100 feet, that that you're probably just kind of zipping this thing around. But if, like you're saying, let's say they're 10 feet above your house, is there a specific legal limit? I mean, I know you're saying the federal government controls it, the FAA controls it, but
Right.
are there written levels like you can't fly below this level in a residential neighborhood for those exact reasons?
I have not been able to find anything.
Okay,
and
so it's very gray.
And that's where I think that's where the whole problem comes in. Is there is no such. At least I have not been. And maybe if there is, and somebody wants to one day update you on this, I would love to. Please let me know.
Yeah, sure.
But as far as I know, there's no law that says, hey, the first 30 feet above your home is yours, and then after that, it's the FAA.
Like international waters for a nation. Like we have 12 miles off the coast of the United States.
Right.
We had to know that in the Navy. When I was in the Navy, we knew if we were doing freedom of navigation operations around the world, we would always stay at 12 miles. Even if we were in areas that they did not want us to be, we had to stay 12 miles because that's international water. So I was wondering if there's anything in comparison like that, and apparently not.
Yeah, it would make it a lot easier for all of us if there was, but I think this is one of those situations where technology has exploded and grown so fast that it's grown faster than legislation.
I can only imagine, which I think happens more often than not, right? In your line of work, I would imagine that legislation changes and the technology that you're working with changes. That they're oftentimes at odds with each other because one's so much
we're
faster.
working on something cool actually with Cobb County right now with the sheriff's office on the actual bonding process, because Cobb's platform is probably the most robust platform in Metro, probably in the state, honestly, and it'll allow us to actually execute the surety bonds remote. So there would be no need for us to actually physically go into the jail or use the process that we're currently using or that is used. Back in the day, it was like you had to go and hand sign the surety bond, or the bonding agent's waiting forever to sign this piece.
And now
of
you
paper.
can do like a DocuSign or something?
Well, no, it would be like literally from our portal into their portal, basically.
Okay. How about that?
And we wouldn't even need to be there. So it would efficiency. There's a million reasons why it would be great, but there's challenges, right? There's legal challenge. There's all types of these red tape hurdles that you have to get through. But they have the capability, and that's the biggest challenge, is actually having the capability to do it and then executing from that standpoint. But we're hoping that happens sooner than later. But it's in the works right now.
Yeah. You use the word robust and with technology and all that, because that's where y'all are with drones. I mean, you operate more than anybody else in the area, right?
So far.
Yeah.
So far.
Are there other municipalities that are catching up or at least trying to emulate what y'all are doing?
There are, and it's one of those where this is still a new technology. When we were at this drone conference, Chula Vista Police Department out in California, they're like the grandfather of drone departments.
Okay.
Like they're the
They're
ones,
the OGs.
Yeah, they're the ones who are considered the ones who started it all.
Okay.
And I don't remember if it was 2016 or 2017 is when they started it. But if you think about that for a second, we're talking 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about policing as a whole, we've had police for hundreds of years, and to this day, we're still we're still getting better at our patrol tactics. We're still finding new ways to do patrolling, which we've been doing since the inception of police. And when you think about the longest standing drone unit's only been 7 or 8 years, I mean, we're talking nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, really nothing. We're learning every day. And so as I say that, I say that to say there's new agencies every day that are like, hey, it's time. Like, it's time for us to jump on this train. Let's figure it out and let's go with it.
I love the fact you say you're learning every day, because that's what you want. The more you learn, the better, right?
Yes.
Give me an example of something you've learned. You know what I mean? That you can take away, that you've implemented, that you've put into action.
I would think one of the and this is going to sound simple, but it's really complex in the moment, is a lot of these drones have so many intricate little parts, and it takes quite some time to just make sure your drone is ready to operate.
Make sure you change the oil.
I mean, going back to those little tiny interior drones, right? The smallest ones out there. I have the drone battery has to be charged. The remote controller has to be charged. The goggle battery has to be charged. The case that it comes in has a screen. That battery has to be charged. And then each one of those LED lights has to also be charged.
Goodness. Is there a checklist? I mean, Plug the battery up.
And
plug the screen up.
And that's what we've actually started doing.
Yeah.
Is you have to, because there's
you get
so
out there
much.
and your remote control don't work. You're in bad shape.
Well, it's useless. I mean, think about if you need it for a SWAT standoff or something, and then you go to grab it, and one of the batteries is dead. You're
Sergeant Blake, battery's dead.
Yes.
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
Yes.
It just seems like that would be bad. Something tells me you'll have some backups though.
We do. We have redundancy.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You don't want to have to employ redundancy, like he said, when it's
moment.
When it's time to work, and you're like, oh, the first drone doesn't work. Let me get the second one, and we don't have the third one tonight. So if the second one doesn't work, we now look bad.
Is that your staff that's responsible for that, or as the coordinator, like it's on you? You're doing that.
So it's all of us, and we recently went to an on-call schedule. So now there's a sergeant and a deputy on call every day.
Wow.
We're able to respond to any agency who needs us. But it's part of their job now. Hey, your first day when you pick up your drones, you know that if you don't have time to do it at work, because, hey, we're all busy, when you get home,
First thing
you need to do is pop open that case and start checking everything.
Back Your Blue on Extra 1063. When we come back with Sergeant Blake, I want to talk about recruiting, because I can only imagine this is something that so many young men and women are very interested in because of the technology that's available and employed and deployed, and how people are responding to it. How would people get involved if they wanted to? There's great resources and great way to serve your community at the exact same time through the Cobb County Sheriff's Department. We'll talk about that next on Back Your Blue on Extra 1063.
Extra 1063 and a second chance bail bonds are here to back your blue. Now back to the show on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 1063.
Welcome back to Back Your Blue. My name is Tuck Howard, along with Daniel Madelon. He is the CEO of a Second Chance Bail Bonds and a Second Chance Monitoring, and we have Sergeant Jeremy Blake. He's the Public Information Officer and the Drone Program Coordinator at Cobb Sheriff's Office. I'm going to get to recruiting in just a minute, but I want to go back to collaboration really quick with other law enforcement agencies or other agencies that might request your help. When does that happen? Does that happen? And how do you respond?
It does happen, and a lot of times the request for help comes along with your missing persons, your missing children. Going back to our beginning conversation with the Bloodhounds, we've made it our own policy that if you call for our Bloodhounds to come out and look for a missing person, it's automatically deploying the drones. Okay. You don't have to call both of them. Like if Cobb PD needs our help, we're bringing the dogs and we're bringing the drones.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's part of owning it. If we're going to own these amazing pieces of technology, we have to be the ones who are also out there lending it. So
that's great.
So we're going to show up. What was it? Just over a week ago when the Paulding County deputy was killed in the line of duty, our SWAT team and our drone unit showed up out there to provide any assistance we could, because we're going to show up.
Man, that's incredible. Just having the backing of the expertise that no one else has, Daniel. Well, look, that's kind of what you do at Second Chance. Y'all have expertise. Y'all have the ability that other places just don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we try to stay on the cutting edge and, make the process as seamless as possible.
Yeah, it's always good to do that. And, the collaboration, I think, and I do believe that people appreciate that, knowing that each place, each municipality has the backing of the others. And that doesn't mean you have to work together on everything all the time, but when the need happens, the need takes place, that Cobb is going to be helping Paulding, and that Fulton's going to be helping Cobb, or whatever, however it goes. I mean, because that's what neighbors do, right? I mean,
right.
And that's what we expect out of our agencies.
Right, absolutely. I mean, just here in Cobb County, myself and Cobb County Police and Cobb County Fire, they have drones. They're getting their drone program going too. They're building it up, and we all regularly talk. And one of our big things is let's not duplicate services. If I already own these 3 drones over here, you don't need to buy those. Go buy different drones, and then you have a tool. When we need that special tool, we can call you, and when you need our special tool, you call us. Because why should we all have the same equipment? Right. When we'll show up for each other?
No, that's great.
So let's kind of diversify. Let's let the taxpayer money really work here.
So encouraging.
Right.
That's so encouraging. Quickly before we get to recruiting, just another thing that was brought up, and that is criminals using drones. because we talked about the incidents, where your 14-year-old's flying a drone around and what's the legality there and how that works. But criminals, they don't waste time, man. They use and employ technology to the best of their ability. If they spent half the time doing stuff for good that they did in breaking the law, my goodness, we'd be in such better shape. But how have you seen that develop?
So we are very fortunate here in Cobb. You hear about jails and prisons, having contraband dropped, and that's a problem.
Recently.
But for us, we haven't had that problem. And part of it might be just luck of the draw. But we also have a detection trailer that I can pull around that detects drones flying, and it sits at the jail, and it would tell me if a drone is in our airspace. But we've been very fortunate in that. But you are correct. Like on a larger scale, I mean, this is a problem. And if anything, the war in Ukraine,
oh my gosh,
the war overseas has shown us there is a problem that we've got to figure out how to fix pretty soon.
No question about it. Is the technology available to shut down drones that are not supposed to be flying in like an area near the jail?
There is, but it's only available at the federal level.
Gotcha.
So right now, it's a big push in Congress. They're pushing.
Is it like a blocker or something? Is it?
There's different things. They have like RF blockers. So like if you were to shoot like a DJI drone, it would make it go, okay, well I lost connection to my controller. I'm going to auto return to home. And then other ones will stop a drone where it is and act like a Star Trek tractor beam, and like you just take this thing down to the ground with it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a great idea, because if this is a weaponized drone, I don't want to land it.
Yeah, if it's a bomb or something.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So there's technology out there, but it's not available to us yet at the local level, and that's a big push in government right now. Is hey, we need local law enforcement. They're the ones that are going to get there first.
Yeah.
They're the ones who need the ability to stop this.
No, it's fascinating. Great conversation, and hopefully we can see that moving through and give you all that ability. If indeed that's the need. What about recruiting? Because I would imagine recruiting for drone operators is probably pretty easy, or people that are interested in that technology. Coming out of high school, maybe they don't decide they don't want to go to college, or would rather take a trade route, or maybe just go into public service.
And I think for us, the drone and recruiting is just one of many. Because we have so many special units. We have motorcycles. We have people on, a bike unit. We have horses. We have fast team, SWAT team. We have all these specialized things. And then drones is another one. So when you're learning about all these agencies and you're thinking, man, I really want to get out there and do something. And then you're listening to our recruiters talk about all this. And then they say, oh, yeah, and we have a drone unit. It's like, oh,
this is
okay.
legit.
You got everything.
Yeah.
And you're right. When we put out that email internally in our agency that says, hey, we have an opening on the drone team, please send us an email if you want to apply. You better get ready, because those emails are going to be heavy, because everybody wants a piece of the action. I mean, it's the hot thing right now in law enforcement.
Absolutely, man. I can just see people being so interested, and maybe people that would have never considered law enforcement or public service ever before. Kids that are really into technology, whether it's phones or computers or networking and IT. Drones obviously is a choice, especially for kids that are really into video games. I mean, this is like a real live video game. Right. And obviously it's much more serious than that, but at least the concepts are seemingly the same. So opening the doors for kids that may have not even considered, never crossed their mind to be in law enforcement
right
before.
And who knows where we're going in Cobb with it. If we go the route of, say, like Brookhaven Police Department, they have what's called a drone first responder program, where if you call 911 for your traffic accident, there's a civilian sitting in a center that is launching a drone from the roof of a building in Brookhaven and flying it over your accident before the police ever show up.
Oh, wow.
And from that drone footage, they're able to say, all right, this is 2 cars over on the side of the road. We don't need but just 2 officers. Mm-hmm. Or they get over it and they see 1 car's on its side in the middle of the road. Hey, we need to step up the response. We know we need fire. We need a tow truck. And they're able to do all of that from the drone.
Amazing.
And who knows? The Cobb may be headed that way. We don't know yet, because we're still so new. But if that happens, now you're opening up these positions like you're talking about. Maybe you don't want to be in law enforcement, but you want that civilian position where you're flying a drone for law enforcement.
It's unbelievable.
Who knows what the future holds?
I'm telling you, it seems very, very bright under the direction of Sergeant Jeremy Blake there with the drone program at Cobb Sheriff's Office, and, of course, Public Information Officer. Man, thank you so much for taking the time to come over today. It's fascinating to hear what y'all are doing and where this is potentially headed, and just the man that you are, man. Nothing but complete respect, and the fact that you want to do the things the right way. And I think that's a message that has in the past, hopefully not anymore, has in the past has been lost. and you carry that torch very well.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's the truth. And Daniel, I know you work with guys like Sergeant Blake all the time. We appreciate you just giving us the platform to talk about what Sergeant Blake does and the folks over at the Cobb Sheriff's Department. And we appreciate you back in the blue as well through the show, but in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great weekend, and we appreciate you checking out the show. Hopefully you'll come back and check out the show next week. And so for Sergeant Blake and for Daniel Madelon of A Second Chance Bail Bonds and A Second Chance Monitoring, my name is Tug. This is Back Your Blue on Extra 106.3.
This is an Extra 106.3 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 106.3 FM or download the Extra 106.3 app.
At Wade Ford, discover great prices, flexible finance options, and top trade-in values. For a limited time, get $50 off service. Plus, with our mobile service, an expert technician will come to you. Visit Wade Ford today or online at wadeford.com. Wade Ford, Atlanta's Ford dealer, where your satisfaction drives everything we do.
Receive $50 off your total parts and service bill of $250 or more. Not valid on previous service purchases. Must mention offer at time of service purchase. All financing on approved credit expires 9/30/24.
Tonight in Arkansas, there's a mother tucking in her daughter and turning off the light. A business owner is burning the midnight oil. An at-home dinner date is plating up possibility. And it's all happening under one roof. How? The power of a conversation, like the one John from Integrity Solutions had with First Horizon Bank about his vision for a sustainable mixed-use building. Now it's not just words, it's life. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/John. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
D. Geller & Son Jewelers is celebrating 85 years in Atlanta this month. It's been an honor to be your hometown family jeweler since 1939. D. Geller & Son is still 100% family-owned and operated, and we love our community. That's why we have trained jewelers you can trust in every store for professional, reliable service on site. It's why we have Atlanta's best lifetime care plan for free, covering everything from ring sizing to diamond upgrades. Come celebrate 85 years with us in Atlanta, Kennesaw, or Sandy Springs, and read our story online at dgeller.com.